Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Black Logic. My apologies for last night. This is a repost with sound. So you guys, because the reason why I wanted to go back over this, because there was a lot of important topics that I covered in this. And before we get into some of the heart of the stories, we have to understand that we are yet again faced with a potential lockdown of the government. We have around 5 days before the inauguration of Donald Trump, as well as 5 days before the government is locked down. And we're pretty much dealing with the same sort of parameters that we once were before, because House Republicans are pushing for steep cuts to social programs, including Medicaid and housing assistance, while Democrats in the Senate are fighting for increased defense spending and climate-related investments. Now, I know this sounds very, very familiar. It's like a broken record all over again. But with real-world consequences, over 800,000 federal workers could face furloughs, and that includes your national parks that could be shut down, and critical agencies like the FDA would have to scale back operations. Not like the FDA really does anything for our food or for the drugs and prescriptions, because they essentially are backed by Big Pharma by the way of business and government. They have always been intertwined in some form of matter, and this is why they're trying to really oust RFK. But I guess here's the kicker: the growing talk of short-term continuing resolutions to buy Congress more time. But again, what will happen? And we'll continue to watch this as this unfolds as we get closer and closer to the inauguration. And when it comes on the immigration front, President Biden announced a sweeping new immigration plan earlier yesterday, proposing a pathway to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants. And that was with that temporary status of asylum that he's trying to propose. And again, hopefully Donald Trump can find some wiggle room if there's not an expiration date on how to revoke such legislation and or executive order. But let's turn to what you have right there in front of you: the growing cost of tuition. Tuition in colleges and universities around America has always been very, very expensive. We understand that we have a vast majority of Americans and other people from other countries that are here in America with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. And this is one of the reasons why the Democrats propose debt cancellation, which necessarily is not fair to those who've already paid off, $50,000 to $150,000 to $200,000, depending on your degree in licensing that you guys receive to operate, own, as well as work in America with all these particular careers and jobs. Because there's a growing protest that's occurring right now over college tuition hikes, because students at many universities and colleges and dozens of other campuses nationwide are staging sit-ins, and they're also doing walkouts after learning about steep tuition increases for the 2026 academic year. They're noticing that people are getting raises, and of course, colleges and university prices are going up. So education is becoming more and more expensive because the hikes are being blamed on inflation. Everything's blamed on inflation and reduced state funding for higher education. But for students already struggling with debt, I know that it feels like a breaking point. And lawmakers are renewing calls to expand federal aid programs to make college more affordable. Here's my thing. They're running colleges and universities, especially those private institutions that are not essentially state subsidized or state ran to a certain degree. They're running them like big businesses. And I believe that all colleges need a cap on how much tuition costs, a simple cap, right? If you go and evaluate Harvard or Yale or Brown or Stanford or Texas A&M or Bethune-Cookman, it don't matter the genre. It could be a PWI, it can be a HBCU, it can be a HSBCI, a Hispanic ran community college or state university or even university. There needs to be a cap on how much they can charge students. And this needs to be federally ran. And this is why the Department of Education, in my opinion, is needed. We may not need for it to be as large as it is, but I think there's just cause for the Department of Education to be in place for accreditations and putting caps and regulating how these colleges are charging us. Because again, you can get out and make $100,000, but it's going to be very difficult when you owe $200,000 in school payments. And again, let the federal government value or state legislators and the federal government value how much an education from this particular college. The reason why they won't do this, because it's going to knock off the prestige. If they start to cap college, and I don't mean every college costs the same amount. Let's say to go to Harvard University, it $150,000 for a 4-year degree. Okay, very prestigious Ivy League school. And I say for Howard University, it's $95,000 to go. It's a historical Black college. It's very well known. It's a prestigious college within the Black community. So I can get how it can be expensive, but nonetheless, it needs to be capped, predicated and dedicated upon, okay, the COLA, the cost of living in certain areas, because people just can't afford colleges. And then in-state tuitions should be a lot cheaper than what they are for those people to be encouraged to go to college. And so we can start using Americans in a lot of these tech jobs, AI jobs, autonomy jobs, autonomous jobs, robotic jobs, coding jobs, software jobs, software engineer, electrical engineers, space engineers, you name it. We can start actually having Americans work these high-tech jobs instead of what we're going to get into next is the H-1B visa fight that Steve Bannon and Elon Musk is having, because again, the MAGA 1.0 crowd, like Steve Bannon, thought that Elon Musk and President-elect Donald Trump was going to be MAGA 1.0 and be Americans first and America first, and MAGA, make America great again. But what they're soon to find out is that they're making everybody great again, not just America. And even though we're cutting back on a lot of spending, we're making some very tough deals when it comes to tariffs and forcing people's hand to do equal and fair business with America, which the Democrats did not do. And again, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm just a conservative-minded person. And I tend not to side with any political party. There is a mindset that most Americans have that are traditionalists, and we have the propensity and ability to work hard and achieve great things. And we want to see our hard work pay off in the materialistic things that we have. We want to live a better life here in America because this is the country that we've built. Mostly Black people, but nonetheless, we've built. But here's the thing. The MAGA 2.0 crowd, that includes Elon Musk, has been changing the game. They've been changing the game. And so Steve Bannon, the likes of Steve Bannon, is calling Elon Musk a very evil, evil guy. Because then this seems to be like a personal vendetta. Don't forget that Steve Bannon was the former chief strategist for President-elect Donald Trump. And he has launched a very scathing attack on Elon Musk, suggesting he should go back to South Africa. That's somewhat not racist, but is that a nationalist? I don't know what mindset or mind view that comes from, because the only thing, Caucasian man is telling another Caucasian man to go back to their country is just kind of really funny to me. But I think Steve Bannon was mostly focused on the Africa part. Yeah, go back to South Africa. And I'm just thinking, like, that's not historically accurate. Now, granted, Elon Musk and his family is from South Africa, but we go a little bit further back in history. They originated from Denmark, okay? We either be Denmark, Iceland, or Greenland, and Greenland, of course, is in the conversation. And Greenland may become American territory. I'm not quite sure, but at least it's interesting that these conversations are coming up. I digress. But yeah, Elon Musk family and a lot of the Boers and the white South Africans, they're coming from Finland. They're coming from Denmark. They're coming from a lot of those northern, eastern, really cold countries down to South Africa. I know they're probably enjoying the sun, but nonetheless, another white man telling another white man to go back to his country is crazy to me, but yet intriguing. But Steve Bannon's criticism centers on Musk's support for H-1B visas, which allows foreign workers to enter the U.S. for specialized jobs. And Bannon accuses Musk of exploiting the immigration system for personal gain. Let's take a moment here because I think it's important. Those specialized jobs is not what people were thinking. Like, oh, they're the top 1% of engineers. They're the top 1% of people creating robots and complex coding software. No. Deeper investigations from many news sources have stated that a lot of these so-called specialized jobs in the poaching of certain Asian as well as white countries are not filling the ranks of these specialized jobs in the advancement of AI in America. No, it has been the top 10 to 20% they have been poaching. And these people have been doing massage parlors, maintenance men. And when we're talking about massage parlors, we're not talking about relaxing or massaging, your major muscle groups. It's most likely for men and it's massaging one muscle altogether. But you guys know what I'm alluding to. But nonetheless, this is what Steve Bannon was talking about. And he has a point. And I'm no friend, I'm no foe of Steve Bannon, but he does raise a point when we're talking about the poaching and the recruitment of a lot of people. And there's no surprise here, from the country of India when it comes to a lot of the tech jobs. But not only that, we've been poaching a lot of and recruiting a lot of people from Africa to do a lot of the healthcare, home living assistant jobs, as well as maintenance people and cleaning floors and cafeteria schoolwork. Okay, so not just Hispanics who are illegally in the country, not just Africans who are illegally in the country, not just East Asians, and by the way of India are illegal in the country. There are even Chinese people who are illegally in the country. And I'm not trying to point out one country or another because, again, there are illegal Eastern Europeans inside of the country as well, just not as much as other groups, okay? Because a lot of the European countries, well, mostly the UK, France, there's some other ones there that are doing okay. I won't say they're doing well. But this is what Steve Bannon is talking about. Like, you're making these people come over and take American jobs, okay? I don't blame the people that are coming over. If someone's going to offer you $150,000 to do something that you was already doing in your country for, let's say, $5 a day, and you're going to live the American dream, you're going to have a nice big house, you're going to have running water, you're going to have all the pleasures of living in a first world country and be part of the top 10% of that country soon as you come over, then I know anybody will take that deal. So this is not about the people. These are about the people who make those decisions. And this is where Steve Bannon, and this is this kind of my take on it, is talking about Elon Musk and this new MAGA 2.0 crowd. Okay, they're talking about America first. And he even stated some rhetoric that Elon Musk and South Africans are some of the most racist people in the world. That was just staggering to my mind because some of the things that Steve Bannon has said to really state that somebody else is racist. But nonetheless, he's absolutely true. And again, we can point to the apartheid there in South Africa with Nelson Mandela, and we can also point to slavery here in America, lasted almost 300 years or so. And people are still profiting off of slavery, by the way. And a lot of people, let's not talking about race. Listen. I'm going to say this, and I may say this 100 times or 1,000 times more. Simply because you don't talk about something does not mean it goes away. That's not how it works. If you were to get wounded in combat, if people are like, we just stop talking about your wound, it'll go away. No, that's you have to handle problems. And there's many ways to handle those problems, but nonetheless, they need to be handled. But yeah, I believe in America first, and I believe in Americans first, and we need to motivate, inspire, support Americans. And the only way we're going to get there, we lower college tuition. If we lower and cap college tuitions, well, how is colleges going to take up and stay up with inflation, Black Logic? Well, that's why we have government subsidies. Oh, well, we're moving more into a socialist society. We've always been a socialist society with a cover, with a guise, with a veil of capitalism. We have a lot of socialist programs that a lot of people are not aware of. And a lot of those social programs, believe it or not, support you and I each and every day. Social Security is a socialist program that a lot of us are investing in. I mean, by force more so than by choice. But again, they're investing that money and they're stating that by the time that I retire, that there won't be enough Social Security left. But they can have government say, oh, that's going to accrue to the national debt. Well, how we're going to support Americans if we don't put a cap on higher education? Because we're going to keep having the same issue where you're going to go to school, and the majority of you guys I think the going rate at majority of four-year colleges is $50,000. Now, granted, I told my son, he's a brainiac, he's very intelligent, but I said, hey, if you don't get an academic scholarship, then we're going to go to community college for 2 years, and then you'll go to a major college just to cut down on costs. Because listen, college in America is very expensive. That's why a lot of people from other countries, they go to their colleges in their countries, which is really cheap. Okay. Then they come to America and they may have to renew or somehow I don't know the right terminology, but they somehow transferred their education credits to another college in America, and they probably have to pay a couple of extra $1,000 so they can have a college from that university. But the education is there, right? The education is the same. See, some people believe, oh, you go to these other countries, you're not getting the same education. The education is the education. And some of you may or may not agree with that. Believe me, the education is the education. And don't forget that Mark Cuban is no friend of Elon Musk. He despised Elon Musk. He states here that Mark Cuban, he says, you're manipulating the most powerful man in the world, and that is worth more than Tesla EV sales. He's talking about Elon Musk manipulating Donald Trump. Now, he doesn't like Donald Trump either, but nonetheless, he believes that Elon Musk is manipulating him just to sell a couple of more Tesla EVs, just to get a couple of more SpaceX contracts, just so he can win the tunneling project, okay? The tunneling project for the Boring Company to tunnel some roadways under the ocean from the U.S. to Europe. He's like, yeah, you're just doing this for some money. You're just doing this to be the first trillionaire that the world has ever seen. That's why you're doing this. That's why you're doing this. You're just doing this to be the richest man that ever lived in the entire world. But good news, Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire agreement, which is marking a very significant step towards ending the prolonged conflict in the Gaza Strip. Now, we understand that these two countries have been at war for a very, 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 very long time. So this deal includes the phased release of dozens of hostages held by Hamas, which is a good faith effort, and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners in Israel. This will be good for both sides. But mediators, including the U.S., of course, Egypt, and Qatar, facilitated this agreement, which also promises substantial humanitarian aid and the return of displaced Gazans to their homes. The ceasefire is expected to last about 6 weeks initially, potentially leading to more comprehensive negotiation to end the war. And hopefully, I've been calling for this. Hopefully you guys have been calling for this, that there is a peace treaty where both sides can come to the table and agree on whatever the hell they're fighting for, and it stops killing innocent people on both sides, and that they can live together in harmony and peace. Yeah, you're going to have a couple of fights here and there, but no tanks, no bombs, no drones. None of that matter, where, we can visit each other's country, we can explore each other's culture, we can have each other's food, and we respect, and I say it again, and we respect each other's religion, each other's faith. I hope that is possible in the near future. I hope that's possible. I hope that can be done. President-elect Donald Trump has announced a breakthrough, and that's good that these two countries are dealing in a ceasefire. This is very good for the world because these two countries have been at war. When I say countries, I know I'm most focusing on Hamas. That is not a country, it's a terrorist organization within Palestine. But again, there's a lot of Palestinians that are getting killed just by having this war because it's in their territory. Majority of the bombardments, a lot of, the death and destruction has been in their country. So a lot of Palestinians, and not those who are in Hamas, are just dying. So again, and Donald Trump came out and said, we have a deal for the hostages in the Middle East, and they will be released shortly. Now, this announcement came before any official statement from outgoing President Joe Biden administration. And what it does, it highlights Trump's proactive approach to foreign policy even before taking office. And a lot of the headlines were stating that, this is the first time that he trumps Biden, because of the deal. But there was, ceasefires under Biden. There were prisoner trades under Biden. Okay. But this is still a win for Donald Trump nonetheless. Again, I told you, you guys should not hang on the coattails of politicians. Again, I tend to look at things very neutral, and I call both bad and both good on both sides, whether it be Democrat, Republican, or independent, Green Party, White Party, Black Party, Pink Party. I don't care what party it is. But I think as voters, as Americans, we should be very, very unbiased. We be very, very neutral. And when I speak on my rhetoric, I make sure I let you guys know this is my opinion, this is my conjecture, this is my rhetoric, so on and so forth. Okay. So again, this is a win, this is a win, this is a win. RFK, as we stated before, nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, he has faced heavy scrutiny over his anti-vaccine stance. Kennedy's involvement in the anti-vaccine movement have been linked to significant financial gains, raising concerns about potential conflicts of interest as he prepares for a prominent role in public health policies. And again, not all vaccines are bad, but a lot of them are. They are some of the most cancer-causing agents that we have today. And there are a lot of natural resources. There are a lot of natural remedies that we guys can be taking. And I'm not talking about Chinese herb medicines where people are sticking pins in you, even though acupuncture, I heard scientifically, does have some health benefits of releasing pressure points, etc. But I'm just talking about the good old herbs and roots that, you know, white people back in the day, and I'm not speaking about all white people, I'm talking about a certain demographic of white people that were stating that people who was conducting voodoo, that voodoo was an evil religion. No, voodoo was never evil in its inception. That is what a lot of white people were stemming that it turned into be because of the mass and the propaganda that they were pushing. Now, voodoo had to do with a lot of naturalist sort of remedies and portion. Like, oh, go get that voodoo doctor because they're gonna whip up some sort of miracle that may be evil, but it'll fix them, huh? How something that's evil, okay, is going to help somebody to get over, let's say, a cold or sickness or the flu. Because back then, people had the flu, and a lot of these so-called witch doctors that were just not witch doctors, they was just dealing in voodoo, and people didn't understand they were just kind of herbalists or naturalists, and they were using herbs and spices and powders and all these different things from out the earth to heal people. It took time, but it was better than them dying at the time. And it was better than these so-called snake oil drugs that other people from demographics were coming to people say, oh, this is a fixture. And it was like boot oil or shine oil or gasoline or some sort of nasty turpentine that they were taking, okay? Even though turpentine can do a couple of things, but nonetheless, I think that people are believing that Kennedy involvement in the anti-vaccine movement has been linked to some sort of significant financial gains because it's, again, raising concerns about potential conflicts of interest as he prepares for a prominent role in the public health care policy. And again, they say he may be linked to some of these natural drugs that he sort of speaks of every now and again. But I digress. Myself, I only take these prescription drugs. I only take these over-the-counter drugs if I absolutely have to. Within a week, I hurt my shoulder, and I feel as though like I re-injured where I had surgery on my shoulder. Re-injured where I had surgery on my shoulder. And my son said, "Dad, are you going to take some medicine, some aspirin, some painkiller?" I said, "No, son." I said, I know you know me. I tend not to take any drugs that I think I can bear through. Now, again, I do have a couple of very natural herbal drugs. And I'll tell you what I take when I'm feeling down or when I'm feeling bad. When I mean by down, I mean feeling sick or coming under the weather. Some of the things that I take, and my wife is using, and she's like, "Babe, your little regimen every time I get sick actually works." And what I take is the miracle leaf. You guys can look that up, as well as oil of oregano. You know what? We have time here. Let me just show you guys very quickly. I'm going to show you guys very quickly some of the things that I take since we're on it, right? Why not give you guys some information that can help you again? And a lot of these things You can buy it right off of Amazon because that's why I bought a lot of mines. And hopefully, I might have to go inside of my order list. Okay, I don't want you guys to see all of that because, yeah, I can be kind of an Amazon junkie, as my wife would say. But again, I want to show you because I think it's important that you guys. I keep writing life and it's leaf. Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna show you the first one here. Let's see. I know a lot of you guys know oil of oregano. I know you guys know oil of oregano. Let me see if I can pop that up for you so you can see that on your screens. And then again, I use a lot of other natural products. Are you guys familiar with Bronner's? Are you guys familiar with this brand, Bronner's? That's a really good brand as well, okay? But again, oil of oregano, the miracle leaf. I'm trying to get to it. If you notice, I'm trying to buy me some time. Okay, some MCT oil. That's some black seed oil. I use that as well. Black seed oil. I know you guys are familiar with black seed oil. Very powerful. Okay. And again, these are the amazing herbs and roots, again, that when I get down and I take, they really boost my immune system naturally instead of taking over-the-counter drugs that just mash your system, like Mucinex or something like that. It kind of mash your system or forcibly make your body get rid of the mucus, okay, which could help you to feel better. But there's, again, other natural remedies that will assist your body in this natural process, okay? Again, I'm just looking at some of the things that I've taken here. Give me 1 second. And if I can't find it, I will move along. And I'm just going to end off with this one because, again, these are from my orders, okay? Oil of oregano, very, very strong stuff. Always dilute this in water. And I will do this 3 times a day. I will take about 4 to 6 drops of oil of oregano, a little black seed oil, the miracle leaf. I cannot find it for you guys, the miracle leaf, because it is something, it has a different sort of name. And if I can find it for you guys, I definitely will. But for whatever reason, I cannot find it. And if I do find it, I'll make sure I post it on my community notes or maybe even show it during another broadcast, okay? So again, yeah, I can't find that. And even for my sweeteners, I'll just show you this very quickly. I take stuff like stevia, erythritol. I don't do regular sugar because it raises your glycemic index levels. Okay, erythritol has a 0, and stevia, this comes from the plants. Okay, some of them have a bitter aftertaste. You have to play around with these. I digress. I know I went off on a tangent there, but I just had to show you guys some of the things that I do so I understand where RFK is coming from with some of these things. But more is to come, more is to be released on whether he's tied to some herbal medicines or not, certain companies that he may be producing. But nonetheless, I think he still could be good for the country when it comes to eradicating a lot of the poison and the addictions out of pain meds and prescription drugs altogether. Now, Ukraine has been using a lot of U.S., okay, they've been using a lot of U.S. and UK bombs because it has conducted its most extensive aerial attack inside of Russia. And this has been the most extensive since the beginning of the conflict nearly 3 years ago. Yeah, we're reaching 3 years that Russia and Ukraine, and might as well say America, because we've been giving them equipment, we've been giving them billions of dollars, has been in war. But the operation involved more than a dozen American and British cruise missiles, which are very, very large missiles, and approximately 150 drones. Now, again, I know that these drones are not from Ukraine. These are from major Western powers that allotted these drones. And who else has the money to create 150 drones that are attack drones that are simply used as bombs, or even some that are mounted with machine guns? Not from this report, but it's possible to mount drones with machine guns. But nonetheless, they're using drones as bomb targets. Right? They don't have to come back. They fly their target. They fly under the radar because they're so small. And again, a lot of these countries are now implementing drone detecting technology because people are using drones more so for attacks. But they state that these drones and these cruise missiles were targeting various military industrial sites deep within the Russian territory. And so this escalation signifies a bold move by Ukraine that has been utilizing Western supplied weaponry to strike strategic targets and intensify the ongoing conflict. So again, the sooner that Donald Trump gets into office, I believe, the sooner that this war can be over. And that would be great for both sides. Again, I'm thinking about the loss of life. I know a lot of people, well, the Russians did it. Oh, the Ukraine should have did. Let's just focus on the people, because I believe that is where the truth lies, that people are losing their lives. And if anybody is like myself, we should not be dying because two countries can't get along. You stay on your side, I stay on my side. But one of the major problems in America that we have right now is inflation. And it's been raising gas prices, milk prices, egg prices, bread prices. It's been raising food prices and everything else, even used car prices. Have you guys been on a car lot lately? You're trying to find you a used certified vehicle because it still has a warranty on it, or you just trying to find you a car to commute back and forth to work, or maybe a car for your son or daughter going off to college, or maybe their high school degree, or maybe they a 4.0 student, whatever the case may be. Used cars in America are very expensive now. At one point in time, people were like, man, you just go and buy you a used car. Don't buy them new cars because, you know, as soon as you drive off the lot, 30% drop off the price. So if you were to turn it back in, you will have to pay more than you put in, and you only put 10 miles on it. So used cars are now expensive. The prices are not dropping. If anything, they're becoming more and more expensive. So people are buying new cars if they absolutely need one. And inflation rose to 2.9 to 3% from a year ago. So inflation is still a real thing that's affecting all of us here in America, whether it come to our food or to our beloved gas or even to used cars. Because I know a lot of you have been eyeing, oh man, I'm gonna wait till the economy gets better, so I'm gonna go out and buy this gas guzzler because you might like an old school, or you might just need another car. But egg prices, believe it or not, in particular, have risen significantly, not only because of inflation, but it has surged due to what they're calling an avian flu. There has been an avian flu outbreak that has significantly reduced the number of egg-laying hens. Yes, it's a flu that has been, that a lot of the chickens have been diagnosed with, and they're starting to reduce the number of eggs that they're laying because they're sick. Now, we know that these increases, and with all of these things that are occurring with chickens as well as inflation, it really contributes to the broader inflationary pressures affecting the U.S. economy that's impacting consumers nationwide. And a lot of these things, and don't forget about the case of the bird flu out of Louisiana, which was the first in the U.S., and I hope we never, ever get the mad cow disease, because I know us Americans, we love a good steak every now and again. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining me here this morning. I do apologize for the sound last night. Hopefully that won't happen again, because I was running my mouth. I said some really cool things, and you guys did not even hear it. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Black Logic.